this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use a new Baroque Snowflake, which is like a Snowflake Mandala die from the brand new JND245 2021 Christmas collection. And again, we're going to make a relatively simple card using some of the layers within the piece. So you can see how they all fit together. And again, I'm going to be starting with a piece of Crafts 2 linen card, but I'm going to be using Crafts 2 linen card in white, the Craft Artist Waterfall glitter card in this soft sort of pink or lilac, and then I'm going to bring in just one of the pieces of foliage I've already cut. I'm going to be using this rose copper satin card again from Craft Artist with a little bit of silver waterfall, because I seem to be using that in every project at the moment. So we're going to start with the first piece, and I've cut a square to 5.5 by 5.5 inches in square size. Just clean out that die. I've got a few little bits in it. What you'll tend to find, certainly when you're using the waterfall card, that this little bit here will hold these pieces, so you just need to prick those out. What I'm going to do again is pop this on centrally in the middle of the piece. So I'm just going to pop that on, making sure it's even. And again, you can use the lines on your cutting mat to make sure you get it nice and square. So put it into a square section and find a line in the middle on each one and just put it in the right place. Again, you can do this by measuring. I tend to do it by eyeballing, to be honest. And I'm simply going to cut. This is quite a simple shape, and this will again fit through your A5 die cutting machines. I'm going to use my Kaleido, which is sort of never off my desk. So I'm just going to cut the snowflake into that, and I would use and save the white piece that comes out for another project, because what you're wanting for this one is the aperture. So I'll move the plates out of the way. There we go. And now I've got that beautiful aperture, and as you can see, it's quite delicate. And what I want to do is to place another piece inside this. So to do that, I'm using a piece of the Kaleido acetate. I use this all the time because it's so strong and it's heat resistant. It's not going to cause any problems at all. Perfect. This is a perfect idea to make shaker cards. And if you go on to the Crafting with John Next Door Facebook group, you'll see lots and lots of different ideas made with this one. Again, there's quite a lot of cards in there. There's quite a few nice shaker cards in that one. So I'm just using a spray glue for speed, and I always use spray glue with acetate. And I use Craft Mount by 3M, which is what I found to be the best one for me. And I've cut the piece of acetate slightly smaller at 5.25 inches, just so that I don't have to trim any off or waste any. And there I've got that all nicely stuck down. So what I would do next, or what you need to do next, is to cut yourself one of these snowflakes using a piece of the waterfall glitter card. I've chosen the sort of soft pink here. And again, this is quite a strong card, so I'm going to use my metal shim as well. It's always worth thinking, is it the die, is it the card, do I need to use the shim? So we're just going to go forward, and unlike the white card, I'm going to come back again, just so that I get two nice cuts on this. And if I turn that over, I can check that everything is cut through beautifully before proceeding. If not, I can pop it back in and reshim it. And I just want to pop that out. We go, and you see you're left, we're going to use the snowflake. This time you're left with an aperture. But of course you could use the piece left from the white to make a second card. So you could actually repeat this card in the two alternate colours and get a different look each time. So there's enough in this to sort of get you two cards started. But what we actually want this time is the snowflake. So I'm just going to take out the little pieces in here. Obviously I missed a little white piece. There we go. So I've got the beautiful snowflake. Okay, and then all I need to do is to glue that or adhere that into that aperture. So if I turn this over, again, I'm going to use spray glue for speed. And I find spray glue works immensely well when I'm dealing with acetate. because I don't have to worry about any glue marking it or squishing out or anything. So I'm going to bring in a piece I've already done here. And this is simply because I've already put foam tape on this, just to give a little bit of depth and dimension. And all I do is slot it in. And the thing you'll notice when you do it this way is if you just stick it onto the top, you'll get white showing through all of these little sort of windows here. Whereas if we do it this way, it fits in beautifully. It gives you a lovely flat finish on the top, but almost a raised embossed look as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to pop that over a piece of silver waterfall card, so we get that beautiful silver showing through. So I put a bit of foam tape on, and what I've done is I've cut the silver piece slightly larger. So this is 5 5/8. So I've made it 1/8 of an inch bigger than the 5.5 inch white panel. And we simply stick that over, and that way I get that beautiful edging all the way around and the silver balancing it through there. So what we need to do next is to cut the next section in the die, which is this little section here, this little snowflake here, or mandala here. So I want to cut that, and that's going to be the next layer, so that would be white. The next layer after that is made using this little hexagonal piece here, and obviously I'm alternating between white and pink, so I want to make that piece in pink. So I will run those through and cut that in white and cut that in pink, and the final piece, which is this little snowflake in the center, I want again in white. So it goes pink, white, pink, white. So I would cut those pieces. I've already cut those just to make it a little bit easier. So you can see how beautifully intricate that snowflake is there, or that mandala is. Beautiful for Christmas, but you can use it all year round. So I have that piece. I then have the hexagon cut in pink, which fits in there. And then I have the snowflake in white, which fits, there we go, on the top. So you've got that beautiful sort of raised look. So all I need to do now is I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape onto these, just so that I've got that little bit of height continuing. So on the back, I'm using 2mm foam tape as it gives me a lovely level of depth, but doesn't make the card too thick. A couple of pieces on the white. Again, a couple of pieces onto the hexagon. And then I want to cut just a little piece, there we go, to go into the center of this snowflake. And what you'll notice is, in the middle of this snowflake, I'm hoping you can see this, you've got the most beautiful embossed snowflake, which is the same pattern and design as the Baroque snowflakes which match with this collection. So I'm just going to take the foam tape off and match up point to point on all sides, get it in the right place. You've got this little dotted line, which isn't an emboss, it's actually a cut line, so that it goes all the way through. So that gives you the guidance of where to put that one, because again you get a nice even border all the way around. And we finish with the snowflake in the center, and again we're matching points to points across all of them. So you can see here, point to that point to that point, and so on all the way around all four sides. And you'll find it matches on every single piece. And I'm going to finish that just with a little crystal in the center. And you see exactly where to put that, because the center is marked out with that little debossed snowflake in there. So all we need to do now is add this onto a larger card blank. So I've got a card blank here, and I've cut this to a 7-inch square. I've added a 6-inch square of white cross-2 linen card onto that, and put behind that a larger square or background of the pink. But in actual fact, I cut this panel out from the center of this mat so that I'm not wasting any card. It's always worth just getting a square die and cutting out the center of any really nice expensive card that you want to use when you're using it for matting and layering. I don't gut it with a knife because I find I don't use that piece. But if I use a square die or a circle die, I can use that in another project. And in fact, I'm using it in this project. If you want to make it a little bit easier and quicker, simply cut your pink snowflake from the middle of that panel. And that way, again, you're not wasting and you're using less than one sheet of card for this whole project. So I'm just going to pop that into place, and you see there we get that beautiful sparkle without having to use any glitter at all. And to decorate this up, I'm using some of the new foliage that comes in this year's John Next Door Christmas collection. So I'm using the mini holly and ivy, and I'm using the Baroque snowflake. And all I'm going to do is, I think by offsetting with this beautiful sort of rose satin card, it really works. So I'm going to start in the two corners, and you get two larger pieces of holly that go in opposite directions, which give you a perfect little corner or to start your foliage. You see there, those fit together perfectly, if it glues down, of course. So it gives you that beautiful corner. You also get two smaller bits that oppose as well. So I'm going to use those in the opposite corners, just so it's echoing a sort of large and a small. And I'm using my fine glue bottle to glue these on. There we go. Let's just pull that one in a little bit so that we've got it hanging on the card. So you can see there we've got those two beautiful corners. I'm then going to use some of the ivy. Again, comes in the same set. So this is actually one A6 piece of card that's been cut to make this, all of the foliage I'm using on this card. So let's go down like that. Okay. And again, I'm going to use one of the smaller pieces. So I won't actually use the whole foliage on this one. I'm only going to use 6 pieces, and I think you get 8 from the die plate. There we go. Just move that one over. There we go, just the same. And to balance it out, I've made 2 of what I call sort of snowflake flowers. So I have repeatedly layered together, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, but I've repeatedly layered together different sizes of the Baroque snowflake, and that allows me to then pull these up. There we go. And I've got another one here for the top. So we're just balancing that in 2 different places. And I can then use some of the smaller flowers again from the Baroque snowflake panel just to go around that foliage and sort of echo it. So I've cut these in silver and in the pink. Let's just make sure we get that glued down. There we go. Let's have a bigger silver one, shall we? Just there. And I've used little gems in the centre just so that it works, and so that it just gives it that right level of finish. So we can see there how we've got that beautiful snowflake in the middle, and then we're just echoing it with the ones around the outside. You can build up more of those, and just to build up the flower, it's very simple. I start and I take some of the snowflakes, cut in the different colours. There we go. And it's just a case of planting them on top of each other, rotating. So pink and silver rotates. Let's get that in the right place. Get that well glued down. You're fine with this card, just give it a good press. And then I'm going to go with, just in this one, do a simple one. little smaller pink one there. And we're going to start here with silver. Rotate our pink and pop that on. I'm then going to go in with a smaller silver one, again pressing in the middle, and we'll finish that one. Make sure it's glued properly. You may need to give these a little bit of time just to go off properly because of the actual foil on the finish of the card. I'm going to finish with a little pink sort of snowflake flower in the middle. And there we go. Give that a good press down. Okay, there we go. So I've got 2 little snowflake flowers there. Again, probably leave those a little bit longer to dry, so I'll move those out of the way because we've already used them on that card. And that's how we can make a relatively simple but quite a good batch card to make. Certainly you could miss off the extra flowers and just pop a little sentiment, perhaps joy or hope from the Baroque sentiments that match with it, and a simple card finished.